It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Major Katherine Jenerette. She is a U.S. Army paratrooper and a recipient of the Purple Heart, who was wounded in combat in Afghanistan war. She is still serving on active duty as the lead instructor of Reserve Civil Affairs, Psychological Operations, Captain Career Course at the John F. Kennedy Special Operations Special Warfare Center and School at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Katherine is the mother of 4 children who all attended North Myrtle Beach schools. Her son Christian is a sergeant in the U.S. Army and has served tours of duty in Iraq and along the Korean DMZ as a cavalry scout. Katherine has 3 daughters, Benjamin, Drake, and Wilson, who is currently a senior in high school and completing her private pilot's license flight program. Katherine's husband, Van, is a former U.S. Army infantry major who retired after over 23 years of service to our nation. Katherine is a longtime resident of North Myrtle Beach and has served our greater community over the years in many capacities. Katherine was a member of the North Myrtle Beach City Planning Commission, a member of the Horry County Envision 2025 Comprehensive Planning Committee Task Force, a U.S. Congressional Field Representative for the 1st Congressional District, the CEO of the Myrtle Beach Area Hospitality Association, a charter member of the North Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce, and on a lighter side, Katherine represented her hometown of North Myrtle Beach in the Mrs. South Carolina International Beauty Pageant. Katherine is a graduate of Coastal Carolina University with a degree in history and earned her master's degree from USC Columbia. While attending USC and Coastal, Katherine was recognized as one of the region's top athletes when she received NCAA track and field Big South All-Conference honors. Katherine has also taught in local colleges as an adjunct professor of history and as a volunteer coach for the North Myrtle Beach High School girls track and field team. She is active in numerous regional veterans organizations, including the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Coastal Carolina Blue Star Mothers, MOAA, RVFW Post 10804, and many veterans programs, including support for Wounded Warriors projects. Katherine is also a veteran of the first Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm, and has served in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Europe, and the Middle East, and has attended classes at the U.S. Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. Katherine enjoys spending time with the family, continuing her education, participation in the community events, running, and many sports and outdoor activities. She recently started participating in Spartan races and competed in the 2018 Army 10-miler. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to introduce to you Major Katherine Jenerette.
I'm shorter than I look. Thank you, Commander Nick Camera, and the members of the VFW 10804 and American Legion Post 106, the Ladies Auxiliary, our friends from the Knights of Columbus, for inviting me to speak at today's memorial service. Also, a special thanks to many government officials from our local and state governments, along with service members, family members, and distinguished veterans. I am humbled and honored to be able to be here today. Thank you for the very kind words, and thank you all for coming. Even as a veteran of Operation Desert Storm, the Afghanistan war, and as a recipient of the Purple Heart, it's difficult for me to find the right words to say on a day like this. What can I say about our thousands of men and women who have served our nation and made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of liberty and our American way of life over the history of our great nation? To put it simply, as I can see it as a soldier, what they did mattered to our nation. What they did made a difference to us as a free people. What they did made it possible for us to live free and be a ray of hope for people of all nations. I know of no other nation on this earth that people try every hour of every day to cross our borders to live among us, to share in the American dream. A dream made possible only by the sacrifice of those American men and women we honor today, we remember today. Some of these people who made this a supreme sacrifice I knew and remember. My father's brother, Sergeant Daryl Schmidt of Vietnam, 1969. Corporal D. Mobley, Desert Storm, 1991. Sergeant Charles King, Iraq, 2007. And many others who I knew lost in Afghanistan in 2011. Like all of you, I will carry these memories for the rest of my life, and we must never forget. Like many of you, I have a small flag in my window with a blue star for my son who's still on active duty and has served in Iraq and near the Korean DMZ. But I also know many of you have a gold star, or know of families who have lost a son, a husband, a daughter, or a loved one in the defense of our nation. We can never forget these families who have paid so dearly and sacrificed so much. Everyone here is touched deeply by this Memorial Day, and I know all of you, along with countless homes across America, remember sons, fathers, mothers, husbands, and parents who have made the ultimate sacrifice, ultimate measure of devotion no one else will ever understand. Of course, we can never forget that this is the 75th anniversary of D-Day, the greatest generation, who gave their youth and lives in that great world war for millions of people across this world, and now so few are here with us, now in their 90s, who in their teens and 20s were among the others whose lives ended during that war. Forever teenagers and 20-something buried in countless cemeteries from Europe, Asia, Arlington, and across America. Those young men and many women belong to the ages, and they belong to all of us. We must never forget. Sometimes I think we should have a measure of time called veterans' years, because unlike dog years, or light years, or human years, many of us are frozen in time when we first saw our first combat and lost a friend or a comrade in war. Somewhere, someplace, or sometime, a big part of us is still there on patrol, on an air assault mission, or on a simple convoy when life ended for someone we knew and will always remember. This day is important, and this day is sacred for all of us. I remember when I was a kid, I thought of veterans as a bunch of old guys who would get together and tell war stories, drink often, and eat on different times of every year. And no, I realized that it was what it was all about. This day and our memories of our comrades and friends lost in countless American wars, frozen in time forever. In veterans' years, I'm forever 20 years old. So many of you still are in your teens and your early 20s. Never forget and always remember, you have a cookout or a barbecue or a family gathering the sacred Memorial Day, those who we have lost, and find a moment to raise your glass in a toast. This day is to say a silent prayer to remember them forever for our nation, as long as we may live. As General Patton once said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." A long time ago, William Francis Butler once said, "The nation that will insist on drawing a broad line of demarcation between the fighting man and the thinking man is liable to find its fighting done by fools and its thinking done by cowards." For this we must remember. For this we must never forget. Our military and men and women have gone before us, and those who will inevitably follow. Thank you, and God bless America.